Good evening. Um, Welcome back to the kitchen. So, a lot of times, some things that you think you've done one way for a long time and you've gotten used to, and then you look at it a different way, and then it just changes your whole perspective on things. And then it's like, wow, why have I not been doing this for a long time? Several years ago, we figured that out because we love making fried pickles, and then we went to a place that had fried pickled okra, and it was like, why have we not done that before? So this evening, what I want to do is I want to share with you about something that is, we usually have sweet, but I want to make it savory, and it's a bacon and tomato cheesecake. And we've already had one, and it didn't last long. So what I'm going to do is we'll start with the bread, because we'll mix it up a little later. But when we think about why has my thinking been different, and why am I just now hearing about this? A lot of people, just to give you a heads up, there are a lot of folks that would think that God gives us a whole new perspective. He opens up our eyes through the Holy Spirit before we're saved, and we could think about telling a little white lie here or there, and it's like, well, I didn't hurt anybody's feelings, and it was for their own good that I didn't tell them. But no, I hadn't met anybody that said, oh yeah, I'm a liar. Most of the time, if you ask somebody, hey, have you ever told a lie? They'll say, well, sure. Well, how many a year do you think you tell? They don't know. Or have you ever hated anyone? Or have you ever looked at anyone and lusted after them? Or have you ever taken something that doesn't belong to you? Even if it's a paper clip or downloaded something that you shouldn't have. That's, the Ten Commandments say that you're a thief, an adulterer, a murderer at heart, a blasphemer if you use God's name in vain, like OMG. So God opens our eyes to a new way of looking at things, and a fantastic way of looking at Him, because He's the King of Kings and He is God. But when we look at cheesecake, there's a lot of different ways. There's a gazillion recipes online for cheesecake. But let me show you how I did this. You can. A lot of people say, well, if you're going to make a cheesecake, wrap it in aluminum foil, because you're going to cook it in a little bit of water so that it doesn't dry out. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use this. Instead, I'm going to put the water in the oven so that the cheesecake won't dry out. So there we go. Now I don't have to worry about it. I've sprayed some coconut in here. Actually, I've rubbed some butter there, and then I sprayed it with a little bit of coconut oil. But here's what I'm going to use instead of mixing up and patting down a batter or anything, what I'm going to do, because most people eat bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches, they eat them on bread. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to make these like super duper thin, but I am going to, looks like, well, man.
Mm-mm.
All right. I won't use it. I'll get another piece. All right, so I cannot believe I did that. Man. We're going to roll these out. It helps to have a heavy roller so you don't have to keep rolling it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these. I'm going to cut them to fit. And if you have to, you can, because they're gonna shrink just a little bit. So go right around the edges. And believe it or not, the bacon is going to cover up some of this too. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we will have bacon. And it's been smelling like bacon in the house. Oh, just love it. And this doesn't have to be neat, because it's going to have cheesecake batter all over it. and it's going to be the crust. So all it has to do is, and it's like putting together a puzzle. Okay, now all we have to do is we're going to put these around the edges. We'll overlap it just a little bit. There's one. Alright. Whoops. Okay, and then what I've done is I've melted some butter, and I'm going to brush butter all over this because sometimes you want toasted buttery goodness on your sandwich. Actually, this helps it go a little faster. So now I'll brush it. Alright. Put some. Alright, now I'm going to stick this in the oven, and this is going to start browning, getting just a little bit while we mix up the cheesecake portion. So the cheesecake portion is really easy, and you'll notice that was not a full-size big pan. So basically this is almost like a half a recipe. If you cook a larger pan, it's going to be thinner. It's still going to be delicious, but you don't have to cook it as long. And this is 2 packs of cream cheese. To that, I'm going to add 1/3 cup of sour cream, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of Cavender's because it's really good. So a teaspoon, and we're going to mix this up. I've had this sitting out to get room temperature, so it should mix up really well. If you have a big mixer, you could probably make it go a lot faster, but this is okay. Okay, so now that we have that, what we're going to add to that is we're going to add 2 eggs. Of course, if you're making a larger cheesecake, you're going to use 3 eggs or 3 or 4 eggs, or 3 eggs and the yolk of another one. I've drained a 4.5 ounce can of diced tomatoes. 14, excuse me. Yeah, 14.5 ounce can of tomatoes. And remember, we're going to save this juice because if you remember several weeks ago, we made bacon and tomato waffles, and we made a dip to pour all over our waffles. So we want to save this, and I'm going to put a tablespoon of chopped chives because that's going to add some taste, a little bit of color to it, but I like the taste of onions. And then because it's a little moist because of the tomatoes, they're drained, but it's still going to wind up being moist. What I'm going to do is get it a little mixed, and then I'm going to put a teaspoon of self-rising flour, and then I'm going to mix it up really, really good. I wanted to get the tomatoes out of there because we love tomatoes. Okay, so now we've got the bread in here. We're ready to put this in. and we're gonna layer everything. This is something savory that if you're gonna have a brunch, like on Thanksgiving or a holiday, or make it ahead of time so you'll have it the next day. But it's really good as a brunch item. Okay, so let's take our pan out, and we have another item here for part of our brunch menu. We'll get that in a second. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cover up part of where there were cracks so that the batter won't get all the way down in there. And I don't think you can have like too much bacon because we really enjoy bacon. Alright, so there's that bacon, and then we're going to add a layer of your cheesecake, about a third, or enough to cover the bacon. Cover it up some, and then we're going to add another layer of bacon. Boy. Might as well cover it all up. Feel free to add as much bacon as you want on each layer. And then this is, we're going to cover it all up. Let's get it all in there. Alright, so now we're ready to put it in the oven. One of the things that you'll probably see on different recipes and all is not to tap it and press it down, because you don't want it to just be like flat when you put it in there. Let's go a little more. I forgot. Yeah, when you take it out of the oven, it's gonna be, the pan's gonna be warm. So I'm gonna sit that in there gently, and I'm gonna set my clock. I'm gonna set it for 50 minutes, and then about about 45 minutes, I'm gonna check it, and if the middle of it is kind of like almost setting jello, I'm going to turn the oven off. I'm going to crack it open about like this, and then I'm going to let it cool while it's in the oven. Then I'll take it out, let it cool, stick it in the refrigerator overnight, or most recipes say 4 to 6 hours, and then it's going to be ready to eat. So, wow, let's see what happens to the menu. Let's see what happens. So we have a cheesecake, and this is what it'll look like after it's been in the oven, is cooked. And now all we have to do is, I don't know, maybe just kind of garnish it with some bacon. I don't know. We're gonna eat it anyway, so it doesn't have to be gorgeous. We'll put some, here, let's put some cilantro on it, and then remember we had our dip. So we made this just like we had with the waffles. Put some of this on it, and then might as well put some onion there. There we go. But I know the thing is, what we really want to do is we just want to taste it. So let's cut us a piece. Whoops. That's why the garnishes should have been on the plate. All right. Ooh. All right, I'll move this so you can see what we're doing here. All right. So there's our cheesecake. I'm gonna put a little bit of the sauce on there.
Mm-hmm.
And ooh, the other thing we may want for just the meal, probably we'll have some black beans.
Oh.
And this will be delicious because we have. You can leave your butter out and it'll be soft and spreadable, just like that. And the only other thing that I probably want on this is some jalapeno jelly to make, because if it's I don't see it.
Oh.
If you're gonna have a brunch item, you may as well have the good brunch type thing. So we'll put some jalapeno jelly on our toast. Oh, that looks good. And I guess the only other thing to do is you've probably never had a bacon and tomato sandwich taste this good. Close. The only thing that would help is if we had some fresh tomatoes to put on that whole top. The layer of tomatoes. Look at that. There are 2 thick layers of tomatoes. Bacon right there. Wow, that's delicious. And homemade jalapeno jelly. Jalapeno jelly. See, you never know the awesome goodness of what you're going to find in God's creation to mix and match the flavors. I highly recommend bacon and tomato cheesecake. It's delicious. I'll get you the recipe on the Facebook page a little later. Until then, you guys have a great evening and have fun discovering what's in the kitchen.